Tenny and her daughter Dora were sitting patiently in a restaurant waiting for their food. The restaurant was one of the most talked about in the neighborhood. A cozy corner spot with bright yellow walls and a warm scent of spices drifting through the air. Waitresses moved quickly from table to table, their trays stacked with steaming bowls and colorful drinks. Dora sat across from her mother. Her big brown eyes kept darting towards the counter where the waitresses disappeared through a swinging wooden door-marked kitchen. "Mummy, I'm hungry," Dora said, her voice soft and impatient. "I know, sweetheart," Tenny replied, smiling. "They will bring it soon. You will love it." She had ordered Dora's favorite fried rice and crispy chicken wings, and for herself, a plate of grilled fish and plantains. She'd been looking forward to this meal all week. Cooking at home always felt like punishment to her. Too much time, too much effort. Why bother when good restaurants like this existed? Not long after, a cheerful waitress approached with their order. "Here is your food, Ma. I hope you enjoy it." Tenny's face lit up as she inhaled the aroma. The food looked perfect. She took her first bite, and her eyes closed in satisfaction. This is delicious," she murmured. But just as she was about to take another bite, she noticed Dora's face. The child's smile had faded, replaced with a frown of discomfort. "What is it, my darling?" Tenny asked softly. "Mommy, I want to poo-poo," she muttered, flushing her belly gently. Tenny froze her fork halfway to her mouth. "Now we just started eating," she whispered sharply. Dora looked down ashamed. Tenny sighed, glancing around. Other customers were eating quietly, but she could feel their eyes drift towards her. She forced a small smile and stood. "Okay, come on then." It wasn't the first time. Dora needed the toilet right after a few spoonfuls of food. It frustrated Tiny deeply, but there was no choice. She led Dora towards the back hallway marked restrooms, her heels tapping sharply on the tile floor. As Dora disappeared into one of the stalls, Tenny leaned against the wall, scrolling absent-mindedly through her phone. That was when she noticed it. A metal door to her left. It was slightly apart from the rest, painted gray and marked in bold red letters. "No entry." Curiosity prickled at her. There was a faint smell, something sore, something that didn't belong in a place where food was served. She wrinkled her nose. Her eyes started up and down the empty hallway. No one was watching. She hesitated only a moment, then gripped the handle and pushed. The metal door creaked open, releasing a bust of stench that made her gag. It was thick and rotten, the kind of smell that clung to the truth. The room was dark. She switched on her phone flashlight, her hand trembling slightly. The beam revealed the source of the order. Piles of stained aprons and napkins scattered across the floor, damp and brown with old grease. Plastic buckets overflowed with monkey water. Before she could take a step, a sudden rustling noise came from the corner. 2 fat rats darted across her feet, vanishing under the pile of dirty clothes. Tiny jumped back, her heart pounding. "Oh my God," she whispered, covering her mouth. Every instinct told her to shut the door and walk away, but her curiosity had teeth, sharp and persistent. Why was this here? Why would a restaurant keep such fields here? She took a cautious step forward. Her light caught something else. A small wooden door at the far end of the room. A faded sign above it read, "Kishing, staff only." Beside it sat 3 trash bins, their lids half open. The stench grew stronger. She could see black flies buzzingly above them. Something inside her urged her to look. She reached for the wooden door and pushed it open just enough to peek inside. What she saw made her blood run cold. The kitchen was chaos. The sink was overflowing with unwashed plates crossed with dried sauce and mold. Mangoes rickled in the corners of the dishes. The counters were sleek with old oil. The floor was sticky, littered with vegetable peels and wrappers. A trail of ants moved in a perfect line across the tiles. Tenny's hand flew to her mouth. She shifted her gaze towards the stove area. A chef stood there, stirring a large pot of stew. Her apron was stained beyond recognition. Layers of red, brown, and black splashes hardened into a crust. Sweat ran down her temples as she stirred the food. When she raised an arm to wipe her forehead, Tenny noticed the unkempt hair under her arm, the fabric of her uniform stiff from death. Tenny's stomach turned. "Is this where my food came from?" Behind the chef, Another worker dragged a bean towards the sink. The bean was full of discarded meat. Grace, limey, crawling with life. The woman dumped it beside the pot and casually stepped over the puddle that splashed out. The smell was unbearable, thick and choking. Tenny's heart raced. Every breath felt heavy. She wanted to leave, but she couldn't stop washing. At the far corner, another woman sat on a cooler, her legs crossed. She was decorating a cake, humming to herself. Every now and then, she dipped a finger into the icing, licked it, and smiled. Tenny's mind was spinning. The spotless tables, the cheerful waitress, the pretty plate. It was all a lie. A faint sound jolted her. A pair of footsteps approaching. She quickly closed the door, her breath crashing. The footsteps grew louder. A man's voice murmured something in the kitchen, and the wooden door creaked again from the other side. Panic fled in her chest. She slid back into the dark, no-entry room, holding her breath. The metal door was only a footsteps away. She tiptoed toward it, opened it silently, and stepped back into the restroom hallway. Her paw started in her ears. Dora emerged from the restroom cheerfully again. "Mommy, I'm done," she said, winging her small arms. Tilly forced a smile and held her daughter's hand tightly. When they returned to the table, her plate of food was still half full. The same delicious smell that had tempted her many minutes ago now made her stomach tighten with disgust. She could almost see the dirty hands that had stirred it, the crawling insects, the rotten meat. The waitress approached. "Is everything all right, ma'am?" "Yes," Tenny replied quickly, forcing her voice steady. "Please bring the bill." Dora reached for her spoon. "Mommy, can I finish my food?" "No, baby," Tenny said, her tone sharper than intended. "We are going home." The waitress returned with the receipt. Tenny paid without looking up, eager to escape. She grabbed the hand and walked briskly out of the restaurant. The cool evening air hit her face like a blessing. She took deep breaths, trying to wash away the stains that still clung in her memory. Inside the car, Tenny gripped the steering wheel, her mind spinning with the images she saw earlier, and her chest felt heavy. Her husband had warned her many times. He always said you can't trust every restaurant, and you never know what happens behind closed doors. But she had laughed it off. "Please, I'm not built for kitchen stress. I can't be sweating and smelling of onions every evening." Now she wasn't laughing. She looked at Dora through the rearview mirror. The child's head had dropped against the seat. Her lips lightly pattered into sleep. Tinny felt a wave of guilt wash over her. Dora was always the one who suffered most. Her stomach was often upset. Some nights, she would wake up crying, clutching her belly. The docs always said it was food sensitivity, but Ty never connected the dots. Years back, Ty was born into a family of 3 children. She was the youngest and the only one who never lifted a finger at home. Her siblings, Ada and Cowell, did everything. Ada was already frying eggs at the age of 8. Cowell could make porridge by 10. Their mother, adult Tenny, "Leave her alone," she would say. Each time Ada complained, "She's my baby. She will learn when she grows up." And so Tenny never lent. She would sit in the POW washing cartoons while others scrubbed pots in the kitchen. When dinner was ready, she would eat and complain. "It's too salty. The rice is too soft. The stew is not sweet." Ada would glare at her. "One day you will see when you are on your own. Who will cook for you?" Tenny would laugh, swinging her feet. "I will marry a sheep." Everyone would laugh. Their mother would shake her head fondly. "Don't mind her. She's my princess." And so, the patron stayed. Years passed, and Tenny grew into a beautiful young woman who knew how to dress, talk, and smile, but not how to fry an egg. When she gained admission into the university, her mother packed her bags with care. Bags of rice beans, gar seasoning, oil, everything she would need. The first week in school was an adventure. Her roommates were excited, chatting and laughing as they cooked together. Tenny decided to try her hand at it. She called her mother for instructions, carefully writing them down, but something went wrong. The rice burnt, the sauce was bitter, the pot smoked. Her roommate tried to help, but it was hopeless. The food tasted like metal and ash. Tenny forced a spoonful into her mouth, grimacing. That night, she threw the food away. The next day, she tried noodles. Somehow, they came out soggy and pale, almost like pop. She couldn't even bring herself to taste them. Frustrated, she sat in her bed and made a silent vow. She would never cook again. From that day forward, she started buying food from restaurants. She would rather eat out than fail in the kitchen. She sold most of the food items her mother had given her to her friends, and used the money to buy meals from nearby cantons. At first, it was exciting. She could eat anything she wanted. Fried rice, stew, soups, all ready and waiting. But the excitement didn't last long. The food wasn't always good. Sometimes it made her sick. But still, she kept eating. Cookie felt like defeat, a reminder of what she couldn't do. Each time the holidays approached, she was overjoyed. Home meant her mother's kitchen. Real food, clean plates, and love in every bite. When Tenny met her husband came, they were madly in love. It was the kind of love that made every evening feel soft and golden, every call worth waiting for. To Tenny, he was everything she had ever dreamed of. Gentle, patient, and successful. But there was one thing Kim didn't know yet. Tenny didn't cook, not because she didn't have time, but because she didn't want to. Whenever Kim hinted that he would love to taste her cooking, she smiled coldly and found an excuse. Baby, I can't. Today, my stomach hurts. Or, I had cramps all night. I just need rest. Other times she would say she wasn't in the mood, then suggest they order food instead. Kim never complained. He believed in taking care of the woman he loved. Don't worry, my queen, he would say, pulling out his phone to order something delicious. You shouldn't stress yourself. Tenny would smile sweetly, relieved that he didn't push further. Their love deepened, but the pattern stayed. Kim realized one evening while finishing a plate of takeout rice that he had never once tasted a meal cooked by Tenny. That thought lingered in his mind like a small splinter. One Saturday, he decided to talk about it. They were sitting on the couch, watching a movie, when he paused it and turned to her. Tenny, there is something I've been thinking about. Her eyes lifted slowly. What is it? I noticed since we started dating, you've never cooked for me. Not even once. Tenny fronts slightly, and that's a problem. Hesitated. Not a problem. Exactly. It's important for us to eat home-cooked food sometimes. It's healthier. And she cut him off. Kim, please, I don't like cooking. I've tried it before. It frustrates me. Besides, restaurants is this for a reason. Kim slowly nodded. He wasn't angry, just surprised by how final her tone was. I understand, but we can't eat out every day. It's not healthy and it's expensive. 2. Tenny crossed her arms. Then you can cook, if you like. I'm fine with takeout. Kim leaned back and sighed, quietly. He didn't want to argue. He loved her too deeply to risk pushing her away over something like this. That night after Tony had gone to bed, Kim stayed in the living room thinking. He stared at the wall and whispered to himself, I love her. I don't want to lose her because of this. He ran a hand through his hair. Cooking is for slaves, he muttered with a tired laugh. Tenny is my queen. If buying food keeps her happy, then sobe italiano. With that, his mind was made up. He stood, turned off the light, and went to their room. Ten was called under the blanket, her face peaceful in sleep. He lied beside her and wrapped his arm around her. I'm sorry for pushing you earlier. I will never ask again. I will always give you money for food. You don't have to cook. Timmy turned to face him, smiling sleepily. Thank you, baby. She kissed him softly. Years passed. They married in a small ceremony filled with laughter and friends. Soon after, they were blessed with a daughter, Dora. From Dora's first birthday, the family's meal still came from restaurants. Neatly packed boxes of fried rice, soups, and stew became their daily routine. At first, everything seemed fine, but as Dora grew, her small body began to react strangely. After every meal, she would clutch her tummy and rush to the toilet. Sometimes it was once, other times twice. Tenny would sigh in frustration each time. Why can't you just eat properly for once? She would scold. Mommy, my stomach hurts. Dora would cry. Always excuses. Tenny's nap one evening. Do you think the toilet is your bedroom? Kim, who had been washing quietly, stepped in. Tenny, stop shouting. She's a shout. Maybe it's the food. Food. What is wrong with the food? It's from a good restaurant. Kim shook his head gently. Why not try cooking something for her yourself? Maybe her stomach will adjust better. Tenny turned away. I don't have time for that nonsense. And that ended the discussion. But Kim's words stayed with her, buried somewhere deep under her pride and excuses. Then came that fateful day. The moment Tenny Andor left that place, everything shifted inside her. As she drove home, the air in the car felt thick. Dora was quietly humming in the back seat, her small hands clashing her toy. The innocence on her face made Tenny's chest tighten painfully. Her thoughts be you have failed as a mother. You fed her that poison. You saw what they cook with what they eat, and you gave it to your child. The voice wouldn't stop. It echoed louder with every passing minute. At a quiet corner of the road, Tenny pulled over. She reached for her bag and took out a small jotter she used for random notes. Her hands trembled as she wrote groceries list. This ends today, she whispered. When she got home, Kim was in the living room watching a football match. Dora ran inside, yawning. Please, look after her for me, Timmy said quickly. I will be back soon. Kim looked head up. Where are you going? Just somewhere. Will be back. Without waiting for his reply, she grabbed her paws and rushed out. The market was noisy, colorful, alive with the smell of spices. Tenny walked through each store with purpose, asking questions, comparing prices. For the first time in her life, she bought everything a real kitchen needed. Tomatoes, peppers, meat, fish, even measuring spoons. When she returned home, her car was fully packed with bags. Kim helped her carry them inside, puzzled. What is all this? He asked. Tenny straightened her shoulders and said quietly, They are for the house. I'm going to start cooking from today. Kim stared at her, surprised. You cooking? He didn't press for details. Something in her eyes told him she had seen or felt something powerful. The next morning, Tenny put on an apron, tied her hair back, and faced the stove like a soldier facing battle. Her first attempt, beans porridge, was a disaster. The beans buns at the bottom, and the taste was bitter. She tried jollof rice nest. It was too salty. Her husband tasted it and smiled kindly. At least it's hot, he joked. It's a start, Kim said, wrapping his arm around her. Every chef starts somewhere. And so, she kept going. She watched cooking tutorials late into the night, took notes in her jar, and practiced again the next day. Her food was either oily or bland, but she refused to give up. Kim supported her every step. When he wasn't working, he stood beside her, chopping onions and cleaning up. Maybe I should learn too, he teased one evening. I will be the king of jollof rice, telling love genuinely for the first time in days. Weeks passed. Slowly her meals improved. The first time Dora finished a plate of food without running to the toilet, Tenny almost cried. How is your tummy, sweetheart? She asked nervously. Dora grinned. It's fine, Mommy. This food is yummy. Kim smiled at his wife across the table. The pride in his eyes said more than what could. From that day, dinner time became sacred. The house filled with the smell of stew, the clutter of spoons and laughter. When Tenny finally perfected a smoky jollof rice with and grilled chicken, even Kim admitted it was the best he had ever eaten. They made it a family tradition. Every Sunday, the house would smell of Tenny's cooking, and they would sit together sharing stories and laughter. When Dora turned 11, Tenny decided it was time to teach her. Come, my love, she said one Saturday morning, tying a small apron around her daughter's waist. You are old enough to start learning. Dora's eyes sparkled. Really, Mommy? Yes. Today, we are making rice. The kitchen balls with laughter. Dora chopped vegetable clumsily. Whit Tenny guided her hands. Kim stood by the door, smiling proudly at the two women in his life. Don't forget to stir gently, Teddy said. Cooking is like love. It needs patience. Dora giggled, like the way Daddy waits for your food. Teddy laughed. Exactly. That day, the rice came out perfect, warm, fragrant, and filled with love. From that day on, Dora loved being in the kitchen with her mother. Anthony Tenney, who once thought cooking was punishment, began to see it a joy as art as love made visible. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next heart-touching story coming your way. More drama, love, and lessons await. Music.